Hi YouTube family, thank you for joining me on today. So I'm going to talk about how can you successfully handle your personal calling and ministerial volunteering. So some years ago I found myself in a jam. I found myself overwhelmed. I found myself burnt out. I found myself resenting ministerial work and volunteering because I could not fully balance out my personal calling in writing. I found myself being on the road. I traveled and I found myself being on the road 145, 165 hours every 2 weeks with work, and then working on two books at the same time, and then trying to be hands on in terms of helping the ministry because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do, but that's not what I had been led to do. I did that because the church was growing and I felt bad because we didn't have enough members, and I felt like I needed to help in every capacity. So I signed up for ministries. I just signed up for ministries because it's like I want to help. I want to spread myself out and help. I did not know at that point in time what I was doing to myself. I learned, and I've since come here to share this experience with you because I thought, hey, that's what Christians do. We help. We help anywhere where we can and everywhere where we can. And don't get me wrong, that's what typically we're supposed to do. My philosophy is find something you're passionate about in your church and be hands-on because that lasts you long run. But in that point in time, what I was doing was just plopping myself in every ministry because I wanted to help. That war is course because trying to compete with demand on 145, 165 hours every 2 weeks and writing and trying to keep up with what was needed. So I started to feel like I was hindering the process in some ministries because I wasn't there present 100%. And then I was not 100% there for my personal calling in writing because that was also I was losing hours and time on that because I was splitting myself thin until the Holy Spirit gave me a revelation, and I prayed for this because I was so confused, because I say, God, I want to serve you and I want to help, and I want to help in every capacity that I can, but I wasn't being passionately led. But I want my best moments and my most godly passionate moments with Christ is when I'm immersed in my writing and I'm just, these fingers are just going, and I'm not able to fulfill that, and that was bothering me. That was really like it had a handle on me, and I'm like, how can I feel a certain type of way when I'm in trying to do ministerial help? And the Holy Spirit said, because you're not passionate about any of the ministries you're in. You just raise your hand up and say you want to do this, you want to do that. And of course, we volunteered for some of the other ministries. So I realized at that point and moment in time, I had to step back. It took leaders some time, and maybe they still don't understand it now, but I always like to live in my truth. And when I feel a certain type of way, I felt like it was pivotal for me at that point in time to let people know that I will now no longer be participating in those ministries. And it's so cute and so amazing sometimes when I say traditional black churches. Sometimes it's like, oh, is she backslidden? What's going on in her life? We need to pray for her. But no, it wasn't any of that. I was still successfully up to now able to continually participate in like 2 ministries versus 5, and I've been still able to write. I mean, I help out, just not fully committed to the other ministries. But what I say that to say, when you feel a nudge or discomfort in your heart or something that's not right, it's your time to pray. It's your time to seek the Lord in an understanding manner, because at that point in time I sat there very confused because not everyone has discovered their personal purpose. Some people are still going through that, and for those that know that you're being called to a certain purpose, understand that fulfilling that personal purpose is what God has called you to, and that's what's priority in your life right now. I'm not saying go to your church and neglect everything that you're doing in your church. If you can handle everything you're doing in your church and your personal purpose, that's more power to you, sister, brother, friend. I applaud you. But if you understand that, oh my gosh, I have 80, 90 hours of work every week, and I have a ministry that I have been assigned to, and I'm also not going to be able to fulfill certain obligations, then it's okay okay. It's okay to make that known. I have learned into 2017 that my yeses will always be expensive. My no's will always be cheap. Do not lose yourself to someone else's vision and let your vision die. That's always easily done. And that's not when you stand before the Lord. He's not going to look at you and say, well, I gave you a vision and a purpose and I wanted you to fulfill this, but instead you took someone else's vision. And when you take other people's visions and walk in the shadows of other people's visions, then you start to really feel miserable because you're not fulfilling the purpose that God has called you to. So please understand, seek the Lord, seek the Holy Spirit in discernment. Let them guide you on what you're supposed to do, because I found myself burnt out. I found myself resenting. I found myself just not even motivated to work in the ministries, because I was now overwhelmed because I had neglected my personal purpose, my calling. And I say that humbly to say, because sometimes you feel vindicated that that's what you're supposed to do. Please understand that you don't always have to say yes in the moment. You don't always have to agree. You could take time off to think about it. Don't lose yourself to someone else's vision. Understand that the church's emergency is not always your urgency. What you need to do is get down on your knees, seek the Lord and say, God, what direction do you want me to go? How can I fulfill this? How can I fulfill you? How can I please you? Love you guys that much.